What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
What kind of ignorant shit is that?
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
You idiot, you fool!
Hey, dummy!
This is the Ignorance is Blessed podcast.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Hey, idiots! Welcome back to Ignorance is Blessed, the podcast that attempts to overcome ignorance, mostly by asking ignorant questions, with me, Jessica Michelle Singleton. I'm your host. I'm a stand-up comedian, and I host this podcast, and I'm ignorant about a lot of stuff. For instance, whether or not you'll be able to hear that airplane in the background, but I refuse to quit recording. Anyways, my ignorance is why we're here. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. Please subscribe and then review us on iTunes. I don't know why I always say us. It's me. It's a one-woman show. So help me out with those reviews. It helps the podcast show up more for other people and in general just makes me feel good. So thank you to those of you who have done those. I like to share them on my Instagram story when I see the new ones. And hit that subscribe button. That way you can learn more, we can learn together, you can laugh at my ignorance, and all of the above. And another way, by the way, you can support my one-woman show of a podcast is by being a patron. And I want to shout out my Best Idiots Forever patrons, Dustin, Jean, and Kathy. Oh my God, packages are in the mail. So the high-level patrons get what I call She Meant Wellness packages. It's new. I revamped my full Patreon, and they get quarterly subscription boxes, a la if you ever see the ads or subscribe to boxes like FabFitFun, which I have a feeling most of my high-end patrons probably don't. It's not even high-end patrons. Most of my listeners, excuse me. I probably have a mix of FabFitFun types and people who are like, what in the fuck are you talking about? I found you through Ari Shafir or Legion of Skanks or whatever the hell. So either way, thanks for being here. But I send just fun stuff. I do a little survey when you join that level and find out your favorite snacks. And so I'll put a piece of merch and then some random silly shit, some snacks. It's just a little like, hey, thinking of you, appreciating you, fun package. And also, by the way, I need to take an extra appreciation for idiot extraordinaire Jean, the real Noonie, for those of you who were joining in the Twitch shows that I was doing as part of Dumbwits. He is to date our highest contributing patron, and you guys, this is so fucking cool and like just means the world to me. He just joined our $1,000 club. So he has now donated $1,000 to help this podcast, which is just fucking incredible. Like, that's amazing. I'm so appreciative. I'm trying to figure out, like, and by the way, my ADD and stuff, I've opened these tabs and closed them and been like, I'll get back to this. But like, do I do a plaque that I send to people? Should I start like in my home office, a little like $1,000 club, and then I put your name on one of the plaques? You know, like they do it, I don't know, charities and shit. Because I am basically a charity case, I guess. Either way, rad as fuck. I appreciate you so much. If you want to join the Patreon and be cool as fuck like Jean and all the other patrons, patreon.com/ignoranceisblessed. There are different levels. For $1 a month, you get free bonus content. I'm late on the October stuff. I'm going to double up this month. I promise. It's basically, there are goals for the Patreon, or if I get to a certain amount, I can actually afford to be a little bit more organized about this because I can prioritize it over the other shit that's paying me. Which would be dope. And then I can tell advertisers who want me to do garbage to go fuck themselves and not feel bad about it and secretly be like, should I have just taken that money? Because I don't want to fucking sell you guys garbage. I'm always happy to tell you about products I love. But I don't want to just get to a point where I start caving on being willing to sell I don't fucking know what. Anyway, thank you to all the new patrons. Thank you to old patrons. Thank you to listeners. Real quick before we get into the episode, if you want to see me live, I am on tour in November and December. I'm all over, mostly the East Coast. Yeah, I have one Vegas show on the 30th of November. I'm doing Filth Factory at LA Comedy Club. But other than that, pretty much East Coast. I'll be in Tampa on the 13th of November. Nashville, I will be in, at Zanies in Nashville, from November 14th through 17th. I am featuring that weekend. I am opening for both Big J. Okerson and Steve Ranazizi. So I'm going to run 2 separate half hours depending on who I'm opening for. So come make it a 2 comedy show weekend because both of those guys are fucking awesome and they're so different. And I'll do different work for each show. So if you come to each one, you won't be seeing the same shit from me either. And then I am doing in December a 2-week mini tour with my good pal, Buddy Hutton, friend of the show. You've heard him. He's a former guest. He's a comedy partner of mine. We do fun stuff together. We do Twitch content. We're building a whole thing. And he's awesome. So he will be opening for me on our Platonic Enemies tour. You can see us at Good Nights in Raleigh on December 4th. We're in Asheville at Fleetwood's on December 5th. December 8th, we're coming to Baltimore. We'll be at Magooby's. Virginia Beach Funny Bone on the 10th of December. Philly, I'm finally fucking back. I'm headlining. You guys have been asking me to come back, so you better fucking come to this show. Don't make me look like an idiot in front of the Helium Comedy Club. So on the 11th, come see me in Philly. And then I'm going out that night for sure. I mean, it'll probably be fun nights every night, but Philly is like a party night. So fucking let's do this. Let's all eat a cheesesteak and get diarrhea in the streets or whatever. You know, I'm going to play it by ear or by asshole. Who knows? New York City, the 12th. I'm at the Stand Comedy Club. I'm headlining in the upstairs room. Buddy will be opening, and my good friend and former guest of the show as well, Abby Feldman's going to host. So fucking come. It's New York. Do you not live in any of these cities? Then fucking plan a trip to New York. Are you kidding me? This is an opportunity for us to all hang out in New York. Let's do it. And then I'm working on a Boston show for the 15th and possibly Buffalo on the 18th. But we do have Portland, Maine. So if you're way up there in Maine, we haven't forgotten about you. I'm finally coming to Maine. This will be my first time there. Tell your Maine friends, your Maine bitch. December 14th, we will be at Empire Comedy Club. Now, enough about where I'm going to be and more about where I am right now. And that is recording this, obviously. But I had an awesome guest, Jonathon Aslay, who is one of America's leading midlife dating coaches. But more importantly, he has recently expanded all that he's doing into really encompassing self-love, what that means, how to tap into it, because he discovered that that's the kind of main key for being in a position to be really able to put yourself out there. We talk all about how he got there and what that means and what it means to him. And I ask him a lot of questions about what he does, his new book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway, which I'm going to read and do a bonus book report on in my Patreon because I have been obsessed with learning self-love just anyway. So I want to fucking read it, and then I'm going to share it with you guys. I'm going to give no holds barred. Did I find it helpful? Did I find it bullshit? Whatever. But he was awesome. We had a great conversation. I think you're going to love it. So no further ado, you can find links to his book and his socials in the show notes. But for now, enjoy this episode with the incredible Jonathon Aslay. Hey idiots, welcome to Ignorance is Blessed. We have a great episode here for you today. I am here with Jonathon Aslay, America's leading midlife dating coach, a self-love guy. I don't even know, like guru, what do we call it? I mean, thank you for being here. I feel like there's just so many things I want to talk to you about, but let's get into, so you have a new book out.
Yeah.
What the heck is self-love anyway? So are you now like, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm so excited. Let's
just chill. Take a deep breath.
This is how he does it, you guys.
Zen.
This is his coaching.
It's ancient. I didn't even come up with it.
Isn't it incredible how much a deep breath helps? Like it's such a basic tool that when I get like overwhelmed, I'm like, yeah, no, I get it, breath. And then you take one, you're like, oh no, it does. It really helps. And you guys can't see him right now, but you really are such a very zen presence. It's wonderful. Just like a very chill. It's refreshing.
It wasn't always this way.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the dating coach stuff. So how long have you been doing that, I guess.
Real quickly, I want to say something. I love the title of your podcast.
Thank
because
you.
I love Ignorance is Blessed.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I'm going off topic here.
Oh,
because
go all the way.
I really like these days when people ask me, how am I doing? I always say, I'm blessed. That's how I start that conversation.
I love that.
And, they're like, okay, now get to the nitty gritty. How are you really doing?
You're like, now
I
complain.
might say that there might be something going on in my life, but I'd like to think that I am living a life that's blessed. So why not start every sentence with I'm blessed?
I love that. That's such a nice, because I think it's easy to get caught up in all the little things and forget to look at the big picture of how lucky, so many of us really are.
Yeah.
That it's like, I'm here, I'm breathing. I'm in a country where I have so many opportunities and luxuries. Where it's
You want
crazy.
to feel how blessed you are? Go spend time in India. And then you go, fuck, I am so blessed.
You're like, and then
it's
you
not
just
ignorant either.
come
It's
home
like,
and you're
get real. But it's interesting. Ignorance is blessed. And so let's make it conscious that we are blessed.
I like that.
Like really put it in one's consciousness every day. In fact, let's go a step further. How about the word love is actually incorporated in everything you do, say, and be? Imagine if that were your world.
I mean, the dream. That's who and this probably isn't unique. Like, who I aspire to be is the person who always is responding and reacting from a place of love and kindness. And it's like, everyone's doing their best. And then who I really am is like, some days it's like, come on, get out of the way, moron. And half the time the moron is me, But that really is the goal, I think. And I think that is the best way to live sort of a centered, blessed life. Do you feel like, how do you feel about that? Like, as far as living in a place of moving from love, do you feel like you're constantly doing that?
So let's rewind back to your original question about my book, because that might give some insight into this. So for those listening, I am in my 50s. After turning 40 and going through a divorce, I not only lost my $250,000 job, I was going through a tumultuous divorce. And then a year later, the stock market crashed, wiped me out of a 7-figure income or 7-figure net worth. And so at one point when I was married, I lived in a $2 million home.
Oh my gosh.
And I had to move in with my mom and dad in a retirement community.
Oh my
That's how bad it got. And I went through a period of I went to bed wishing I didn't wake up. And I had 2 children at the time. And I had so many blessings in my life, but all I was focused on was what was wrong, what's going wrong in my life, and the negative. And I was I was Eeyore, feeding off of the negativity.
It happens when you start feeding into it. It just becomes this cycle of,
So right at that time, the movie The Secret came out.
Yes.
I watched The Secret. And actually, I had dabbled in what was called metaphysics, 10 years earlier. But the movie The Secret, and then Tony Robbins and so many other gurus out there. I started to follow all the gurus. I just started
consuming
to immerse myself with books like Return to Love by Marianne Williamson, which I love. Wayne Dyer, Abraham Hicks. And then I was doing workshop after workshop, and I began to immerse in a journey of self-discovery, of personal development, self-help, and spirituality.
Wow.
Which later I recognized that was all prescriptions of self-love. Those were like vitamins of self-love by discovering who I am and investing in myself.
I love that.
Was all of this self-love. So, and I'm going to fast forward for your audience. So last year, about, I guess it'll be 16 months ago this week, I lost my 19-year-old son.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And I'm pausing for a second because I really want to be clear here. I always thought, as anyone who's a parent, and anyone who's a parent listening to this, I'm sure would say that the worst nightmare they could ever experience is the loss of a child.
Of course.
And when the minute both my boys were born, I had this fear of something happening to them.
Oh gosh.
So I lived in a fear, and now my fear is realized.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
And I would thought that would take me down the rabbit hole of depression, down the rabbit hole of despair. And in comparison, and not that I'm trying to compare my previous experience, I felt more in hell losing my job, going through the divorce, losing all my money. I thought that
Whoa.
was more hell than this because I had developed a self-love practice that
Oh,
prepared me. I call it a vaccination to chaos. It was preparing me for this
this.
trauma, this event, and I actually handled it. And I chose to handle it like this. I call it grieving with love.
Ah.
I
Oh,
said,
that's very interesting.
like I consciously said, I'm going to grieve with love and through love, not through pain and suffering.
So you're gonna focus on like
I'm going to focus on love. How can I feel loving towards him? How can I feel loving towards myself? And by the way, I was being immersed with love because I got to tell you, my Facebook page blew up with a
Oh, I'm
thousand comments
sure.
and 10,000 likes and all, because when I announced it,
Of
so
course,
many people
everyone
were
tries to.
yeah, they were giving me tons of sympathy and empathy and emotional love. And I was feeding it for a while. But after a while, it started to dissipate.
Yeah.
And I recognized I had to fill that up with my own love.
Love. Wow.
So you said earlier something, like you said something along the lines of self-love sounds woo-woo and how do we love ourselves? I mean, it's almost like it's in the esoteric. It's out in this realm.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many people who go like, yeah, okay, hippie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're like, what does that even mean? Love yourself. There's no time. Like,
So I was talking to a friend of mine and we were just using the comparison, and she has 3 children, and I said, "Well, what's it like to love your children?" And she literally could go through her memory banks of when they were born or this experience and when they got hurt, how she gave love to her child or
yeah.
something happened. And I said, "Okay, now what about yourself?"
Oh,
And there's no consciousness around it. There's no memory around it. The reason why we love our children and love other people is because we have experiences that give us a clue of what that felt like.
yeah.
So the idea of self-love is actually really hard to contemplate because most people haven't invested into their own self-love. They've invested in love for others,
Absolutely.
love for their boyfriend or girlfriend or their parents or their children, but what does it look like for oneself?
Yeah. And it's like a lot of people haven't taken the time to learn that or just taken the time,
To
you
even
know,
contemplate it.
to like,
I want to just think about just the contemplation of it.
yeah.
So I'll give you an example. I did a Facebook post the other day, said, oh, I'm going to butcher it now. It's my own post. I said something like, if I'm not thinking or feeling or saying the word love 1 second out of every second, I need to amp up my dosage. Now you
Yeah.
think about that, 1 second out of 60 seconds. Okay.
Oh, out of every minute. Okay.
Out of every minute. Did I
Yeah.
say
You said
something?
1 second out of every second. And
Oh,
I was
I'm
like,
sorry. 1
you
second out
obviously
of
meant
every
something
minute.
else,
Yeah,
but
so- all right, but think about that. Like, why aren't I thinking about the word love 59 seconds out of every 60 seconds? Why isn't that the realm?
crossing, why isn't that kind of where I exist from?
Yeah.
You-
So I've been really leaning into just the contemplation of that. I don't necessarily have an answer for it, but just contemplating that.
Yeah. Just contemplating.
And I'm not on drugs when I'm doing it sometimes.
Well, no,
And it's even more fun that way.
yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, give me some shrooms. I'll love everyone. But like, no, it's also is sort of when you are able to get in those zones. Cause I've gone through periods where I'm, doing a regular meditation practice or
Yeah.
I go in and out of really having a good self-care routine to just completely throwing it aside.
Yeah.
It's the balance is it's a struggle, for all of us, I think. But it does, when you're really operating from that place, it does almost feel like a little bit of a high.
Yeah.
Do you have any issues with, like, when you started really getting in touch with the self-love part of yourself?
Yeah.
Was that completely different from the identity you had before? Like, was that very different?
That's a great question. And so I lived much of my life from a place of ego or fear.
Mm,
And I still do. I mean, we're human beings, we naturally operate from either an egoic place or a fear based place. Very few people actually spend a significant amount of their given day from a place of love.
Yeah.
I mean, really from a place of love. And we've seen evidence of this from people like Gandhi or Mother Teresa, or even one of my favorites right now is Mr. Rogers, who truly
I mean, he
operated
was great.
Yeah. So those are role, so to me, that's a role model and not the Kardashians or some boy band or whatever.
God bless.
I recognize that I spent a significant amount of my life in ego and fear. And in those spaces, I was in judgment, I was in resentment, I was feeling guilt, I was feeling comparing myself to others. Those are all attacks to our own self-love.
Absolutely.
Now, you said something earlier that I just want to clarify for your audience. There's a difference between self-care and self-love.
Okay.
Because a lot of people associate self-love with self-care. Like, for example, getting a manicure or doing a bubble bath or something that's nurturing your body, which is very good.
Yes.
It's very important. But a better way to nurture your body is pay attention to what you eat.
Yeah.
Exercise. That's self-love.
Okay.
Actually paying attention to the poison you put in your body or the bad food,
I was eating candy right before we started, you guys.
But just being mindful of that. That's actually a self-love practice.
Okay. So getting the movement, getting a little sunshine,
that's
getting your vegetables.
body, but not the manicures and things like that. That's just a luxury item.
Okay.
That might feel like self-love. You're caring. And I'm not saying don't get a manicure type of thing.
Well, that's what I always thought too.
Don't confuse that as really loving on yourself, because the best way to love on yourself is twofold. Is A, recognize when you're in judgment of yourself, when you're in self-criticism.
Ooh, it's hard.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because whenever I'm in judgment of myself or self-criticism or crucifixion, that is the time to give myself love.
Yeah. When you catch yourself in a moment of self-criticism, any type of, that avenue.
Yeah.
What is the first thing you do once you realize, oh, I'm being, shitty to myself?
Yeah. So first,
being self-critical.
I think it's important to recognize your feelings are your barometer.
Okay.
When something doesn't feel good. Okay, so ask yourself, okay, something doesn't feel good. I don't know what it is in the moment. Is it that I'm maybe judging somebody else? Maybe I'm blaming someone else for the traffic as an example.
Yeah.
Am I judging them?
Yeah.
And then am I then judging myself for, getting in the wrong lane at that moment when the lane I was just in was going faster?
Why didn't I leave 1 minute earlier?
So that's self-judgment, right?
Yeah.
So first I'm judging traffic, then I'm judging. So my barometer is my feelings.
Okay.
If I don't feel good, that's the sign to go, okay, what's up?
Happening? Okay.
Now, awareness is to recognize that I created everything that's just happened.
Wow.
Okay. So let's say for the traffic, for example. Now, you might say, well, Jonathan, you didn't create traffic. Well, I created the time I left my home to get somewhere, and that might have been at a time where it's maxed on traffic.
Yeah.
It was still my choice.
That's
so it's just looking at your world in such a way that I've created all the outcomes.
That it's like I am controlling it is the positive of that too. Is like,
well, we can't control anything.
Well, we can't control it.
Yeah, but we were certainly creators of it.
Yes.
And I think that gives us more empowerment when we operate from that way, because the other way is to operate from victim consciousness.
Yeah.
Which we are in a society here, particularly in the United States, that we're riddled with victim consciousness.
Yeah, we're like a victim culture. It's almost the point of, I think some people, I mean, I guess it's a thing where, you get a little bit of validation from a tiny outrage, a tiny offense that you've shared. I'm upset about this, or, something bad is happening. You share it and people glom onto that a little. And then I think it feeds that part of people who, with our culture of the social media likes and stuff, I think that it's like, oh, this is what gets likes. And then people start maybe inadvertently feeding into more of the victim stuff, more of the, let me share what's going wrong because this, my Twitter followers seem to jump on that more, or like, and not that it's calculated, but they realize like that's where they're getting their communication from. And I think it's very easy to cycle into only seeing what's going wrong
Yeah.
for you, you know?
You know, it's interesting. I recently had an awareness that my Facebook page is also my laboratory for self-love, because there are times when I can post something and it creates controversy. And anytime
Oh.
there's controversy, I can be attacked personally.
Ah,
And I did a post recently. I wonder if I should share it with your audience. A little
go
bit
ahead.
controversial.
We're controversial. I ask questions that are controversial.
Okay, so
we'll get
what
to
was
the
interesting,
skepticism.
I saw on someone else's post, it said Jesus was a liberal. So I thought that's kind of interesting. So I posted, if Jesus were alive today, would he be a liberal or a conservative?
You just posed the question.
I just posed it as a question. So a third of people kind of responded, oh, he's the quintessential liberal. Another third was like, he's totally a conservative because he wouldn't kill babies kind of thing. And then a third of the people attacked me personally.
For even suggesting.
Exactly. Now, I don't want to get into the bandwagon of that. What my point was, the old Jonathan that takes things personally
would
literally, I would have collapsed inside, and that would have shut me down for 2 days straight.
Wow.
All of the attack, because I'm a people pleaser. I want to be liked by everybody, blah, 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 blah. I go, wow, this was interesting. I created this post.
It upset people.
It upset people, which I was a little bit shocked at first. But then I go, okay, well, I was touching on whatever nerve that was hitting them. But what was really fascinating was I go, wow, what an interesting new way to love on myself.
To just go,
wow. So people are attacking me. Time to amp up my own self-love. So I literally say to myself the words constantly all day long. I'm loving myself. I love myself. I say it continually.
You do.
In my head and out loud.
That's so fascinating. Was that an easy transition for you? Because I feel like where I'm at now is this sort of, and not, it's not about me, but in case anyone else is in the same, like this one foot in the door of trying to self-love. And then there's still being enough of a person who's judging myself to like almost go, that's a little crazy for you to be saying.
So I did something exactly 6 months ago yesterday. I started an affirmation, and I'll share with the audience what it is, because I started a new one today. I said it 100 times a day straight for 6 months.
Wow.
The following affirmation is, I'm confident, smart, ambitious, loving myself and others. I'm confident, smart, ambitious, loving myself and others. Now, the reason why those three things were the first three are, there are times when I don't feel confident. So I just want to reinforce confidence. The other thing is, I feel like I'm stupid. I mean,
anytime I make a mistake, I could stub my toe and I'd be like, you're the dumbest person on earth.
Exactly.
It's like, what a leap.
So I want to reinforce my intelligence. And then ambition, only because I went through a real tough time the past year with my son, and I lost a bit of my ambition. So, but the key phrase in this is loving myself and others. I added, I'm confident, smart, ambitious, loving myself and others, saying that over and over, saying it 100 times a day first.
Yeah.
And then doing it for 6 months straight. Today I started a brand new affirmation.
Is that what you're doing every 6 months? You're like, let's mix it up.
Another one. So this one is just simply, I'm loving myself and everyone else.
I love that.
I'm loving myself and everyone else. And so this might, to some of you listening, is go, God, that's ridiculous. And others are going,
seem like
I
a lot.
get this.
Exactly.
Is because if we want love to be in our consciousness on a continual basis, then it has to start from within.
Okay.
Both loving ourselves and loving every human being.
Yeah.
No right or wrong.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's genuinely what the foundation of this podcast is.
Yeah.
Was like, let me bring in people who maybe have different viewpoints from me or from a listener. And a lot of it is, let me ask questions that, could be misconstrued sometimes as like offensive or skeptical, because I believe that's like, I think so much of what we perceive as like hate is misunderstanding.
Yes.
So I'm like, there's so many questions people have, but they're like, oh, I'll seem like a jerk or I'll seem stupid if I ask that. So I made this podcast to be like, all right, I'll just take the bullet for it. I'll ask the questions that people are like, well, what about this?
Are you going to ask one about liberal and conservative?
I mean, we don't have to get political on this one. I definitely have some episodes where I've had to be like, okay, that's interesting. And
well, it's interesting because my profession is a dating and relationship coach. specifically helping women understand men.
I might have some skeptical questions for you.
And so there's always controversy because I'm a contrarian. So a lot of the advice I give is contrary to popular opinion.
It's the same.
However, I found that dating in particular now triggers the number one emotional health issue facing Americans today.
Yeah.
And that is a lack of self-worth, self-confidence, self-love.
Yeah.
Dating can trigger everyone's greatest fears about themselves.
Because all of a sudden you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And now you have to look at like, we do the thing where we go like, am I enough?
Yeah.
Is this person going to reject me?
Wait, what does my bracelet say?
Oh my God, he's literally wearing a bracelet that says I'm enough. Which is a great affirmation, by the way.
Wait, what's my t-shirt say?
You guys, he's just full. It's self-love club. It's amazing. You guys, it's awesome. Well, that's the thing about, I think I used to be a person who thought like affirmations, I looked at it almost like cartoonishly, like you just recite things to yourself in the mirror, you say them out loud to yourself. And then it took me learning about the like scientific research behind like neurolinguistic programming and realizing that, sometimes if you've been crapping on yourself for years and being like, I'm an idiot, it's like, that's a changeable pathway, but it's deep. So you have to almost overcompensate with, I am worthy, I am smart, and repeat it over and over to change the way your brain initially reacts.
So, you bring up a point that I was just thinking about. A lot of self-help gurus will tell you do something for 30 days straight to change a habit.
Yeah.
And while there's some truth to that, you can begin changing a habit if you do something repetitive for 30 days.
Yeah.
Here's what the misconception is. All of a sudden you have changed.
Do you think I'm a new person?
And what I've come to realize is I invest a ton of time on myself every day to love on myself, and I'm still scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Or peeling the layer. Like it's like peeling an onion that's going to take the rest of my life to experience.
Wow.
And so anytime I have this expectation that all of a sudden I've done this for 6 months and I'm just going to go,
I'm enlightened forever now.
It's not the way it works.
Yeah.
And it's not even about being enlightened or anything else. That's one way to view it, but how can I operate from a place of inner peace, of joy and happiness on a continuous basis? That's what I'm striving for.
Yeah.
And what does that look like for me? And that's my invitation for everyone.
I love that. Well, it's also more about, I think when you're going, okay, for 30 days, I'm going to do whatever the given exercise, mantra, et cetera is. I feel like it's, that misconception of like that you'll just be quote cured versus like, no, you're like building a habit to continue doing it is what you're doing.
That's why it's called a practice.
Exactly. Well, and it's so easy to give up on like, oh, well, it's not perfect. Or I'm maybe not for everyone, but I'm like, well, I haven't meditated in a week. I guess I just don't meditate anymore. And it's like, no. Let's talk about the dating coach stuff a little.
Okay, sure.
So with all this like self-discovery, self-love stuff, did it reiterate? There's a very classic idea or, dating thing of you can't love anyone else till you love yourself.
Yeah.
Did you always think that, or was it sort of like all of this like awakening you've had about self-love? Did that kind of make that click more for you? Like, oh,
it's funny. I've been saying the phrase, you have to love yourself before you can love another for years. But until I actually did a deep dive in the past year, did I understand what that means?
Yeah, it's one of those phrases it has to kind of wash over you.
I wrote a book. I wrote a different book. I think it was 2012.
Okay.
Called, no, I published in 2011. It's called Understand Men Now, the Relationships Men Commit to and Why. And recently I got asked to be interviewed on that book. And the interviewer read my entire book because he was reciting stuff from it. And I'm
wow.
And the whole time I'm going, well, I have a slightly different perspective on that.
Isn't that so interesting?
Like, I literally was, whatever he was disagreeing with my own book that I wrote, 7 years prior. I was literally, not disagreeing with it, but more offering a slightly different perspective on everything. So much of the way I coached And much of the way 99.9% of the dating coach advice out there is all egoic. It's all either based on, what's the word I'm thinking of? They're either tapping into someone's ego or tapping into their fears.
Okay. So they're
They're
using
either,
one of the, like,
yeah,
one of those
they're
things.
addressing those two areas and not really coming from a conscious place of love.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I did a post, who's supposed to pay for a date? And you get this angry mob saying men are supposed to pay for a
And
date.
people are like, but you're a feminist. And it's
yeah.
that war of.
But here's the thing. That's all based on ego or fear. That's not based on a compassionate, loving way to approach that dynamic of who pays. So I'm here to talk. I'm shifting more into how can I interject love into the traditional stereotypes and societal expectations around the way people date, mate, and relate.
I like that. Date, mate, and relate. Well, because previously were you kind of like, when I could see how with a dating coach, it's kind of like almost goal oriented. Like, we're going to get you a relationship. And then if you're not approaching that from love, it becomes sort of like almost a checklisty. To me, it seems like that's, I always worry about this with relationships. I have friends who are so focused on wanting the relationship.
Yeah.
Like, not dating anyone. I want a boyfriend. And I'm like, that is how you end up settling, to me. Is that like, you can be, come from a place of love and share love. And, you can of course want things, but like focusing on the title of, I want, boyfriend, girlfriend. You're playing with
most
like
people
sticky.
that come from that place are often codependent.
Yeah.
In other words, they need someone in their life because they don't fulfill within themselves. So I've shifted all of my coaching from how to get the guy to how to be in the relationship with yourself.
So how to love yourself, and that.
So that is you start with first you want to meet your own soulmate. Just by the way, for anyone who wants to meet their soulmate right now, go to your bathroom, look in the mirror, and that's your soulmate.
Oh my God, that's so.
Okay.
That's so.
And if you want to meet your true love, you go to the bathroom, look in the mirror,
and start criticizing them immediately. I'm just kidding. Like you've been doing to your other partners.
Then you're really in a true relationship. But that's where it starts. It starts with, and by the way, for the longest time, I believed that I would be happier if I had a relationship in my life.
Yeah.
That I deserved it and all these things. And I realized the most important relationship is with myself.
Absolutely. Well, and I do think sometimes the wanting for a partner, I go, and I mean, I'm in a relationship, but I still go, and I'm very happy with the person I'm with. But like when I've been single and been like, should I date? Some of it's like, do I just want that because we're told that's what we're supposed to want? Like, I love love, but I don't know if I want the whole, white picket fence marriage, whatever.
You don't want to buy the cow, do you?
No, I just want a little rump roast.
I'll take a ribeye.
I know, just like some steak tips, and then I can go to bed. There were so many thoughts going on. Oh, here's my question. So now you're sort of trying to coach people from a love yourself, and that you'll be bringing the best person forward to when you do either the relationship you're in or when you find a partner.
Yes.
That's sort of where you're coming from. And you are, here's where I'm going to get like my skeptical.
Okay.
So are you dating anyone? Or what's your dating?
So I was in I want to give your audience a full picture. I was in a significant relationship that ended just shy of 2 years ago. And in that time, I lost my mom and I lost my son. So
when it rains, it pours.
And then my father moved out of the country and my business started to tank. So, and when I say tank is I just didn't feel like working this past couple of years.
I mean, you've been through a lot too.
Yeah.
And
so from a dating perspective, I am definitely out there. I mean, I've got myself on dating apps. I'm on dating profiles and such. I don't spend a lot of time looking. I might spend a few minutes here or there. I feel as though that I'm starting to get into a place where it's going to come to me.
Yeah, where you're like, I'm going to work on loving myself.
Yeah.
And when the right thing comes, it'll come.
It's just going to come right to me. It's literally going to knock on my front door. Now, that's kind of a little of exaggeration, but I'm also a public figure. It can knock on my front door.
It
literally.
could be in my DMs right now.
Yeah, exactly. I just haven't looked at my messages. So So I'm operating from a place like that. I'm literally operating from so remember I said before, your feelings are your barometer. So
Yes.
I'm spending a lot of time now noticing my intuition and paying attention to how can I operate in my life from operating from intuition.
Trusting that.
Yes.
So we go against it so much.
And it literally could be a text message from someone. I go, you know what? My intuition says this is off, because everyone has told you have to operate from you just never know, give people a chance, this
benefit of the doubt.
Benefit of the doubt. Yeah, those are the top three. And it's so fascinating. Every time I give it the benefit of the doubt, I go against my intuition, or I just, that I keep
so
thinking.
often you're like, I was right.
Not so often. Every time I was right. So now I look for, what does my body say? What does my heart say? Does it feel like, okay? And it might be neutral.
Yeah.
Neutral isn't a no. Neutral is just neutral.
Yeah.
That means just be open. But I'm either looking for a hell yes, because if I get a no, that's a no.
Yeah.
And it literally could be one sentence in a text message. And I know some people, this goes against every dating advice out there, because you should never operate this way. I would agree. This takes ninja level operating at your intuition level.
And of trust of your intuition, really having practice listening.
I literally practice trusting my intuition constantly.
Yeah. Wow. And then
I'm not recommending this for the layperson. Let me just say this.
You got to work on it.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Well, it's also
this is a practice.
Oh, absolutely. And it's, depending on what an individual's journey has been like, what they've been through, sometimes, because I know it's depending on, if you've had, any type of trauma, or sometimes what feels like intuition is like a false flag almost, where it's you can get, triggers is the word. I just did a whole episode about being triggered, but it's, so that is why it's a practice where you have to learn to go, actually, this is the thing that sets me off, because it's reminding me of something unrelated, like a childhood thing. But
well, intuition typically comes from a calm place inside of you. That's how you know it's intuition.
That's a good note. Instead of that freak out.
Yeah, if it's freaking out, that's just fear or ego talking.
Oh, wow.
So if you want to really learn how to pay attention to your intuition, start a practice. Say to myself, I'm going to start paying attention to my intuition. Just say those words. Everyone listening right now, I'm going to practice
paying attention to my intuition. I like that.
And then start to notice things. And just start to notice things and notice things and notice things. Just
pay attention.
And pay attention and pay attention and pay. I'm repeating myself intentionally.
It
takes a practice of doing that.
Of repetition, truly. Yes. Do you still do the dating coaching, a lot of that?
So, yeah, I've shifted my practice. So I have a membership program called Midlife Love Mastery.
Oh, nice. So is that mostly for people who are midlife?
Yeah.
What age
my
is midlife?
demographic is typically it's after baby making years and before retirement. So I would say if you're 42 to 69, that's my demographic. Except now 30-year-old women are coming for my advice. And I'm loving it, because I'm getting you way before you can become really heavily dutifully jaded or bitter.
Yeah, where you're there's no point.
Exactly.
Where you're you're still open to it's out there. You're not coming okay, listen, kicking and screaming, dragging yourself into.
So even though Midlife Love Mastery it's a small fee membership where you get access to a library of videos I created. I have a Facebook group where I shoot a video every day for the group. It's a 5-minute video on any question that's asked of the group. I shoot a video of it every morning. And then
wonderful.
I do a call once a month. And this is all for less than $20 a month to join.
Oh, great.
So that's where a majority of my clientele comes from. And then I work individually, mostly now shifting to self-love.
Wow, like a self-love coach kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm not there calling myself love coach yet, but it is self-love / dating and relationships, because the idea is to redirect all that love toward yourself.
And that will attract.
in.
It really will.
And by the way, my clients get my personal cell phone number. So it could be a Sunday at 8:00 at night, and they can text me, and they could just have finished a date, and I'll get on the phone with them.
That's amazing.
I literally make myself 24/7 available for my clientele.
Does anyone ever have questions? Because this was the skeptical thing. Has anyone ever been how are you? You're not with somebody. How are you going to help me? Does anyone ever
So you might as well say that a great surgeon needs cancer to know how to remove cancer from a body.
Wow.
Does a great surgeon need that to know that? Not necessarily.
I like that.
I'm not here. I'm here to give you perspective.
Yeah. You're like,
And
I'm
I
just
come at
giving
it-
you.
Yeah, I'm giving perspective,
Okay.
and that's what I'm here. It's not. But first off, most people that are coaching out there learn. They met someone in their life, and they're just teaching you what they learned.
Yeah.
That's not. That's giving you their perspective in one narrow
their journey,
band,
which isn't
okay?
so, yeah. Like everyone's journey.
I'm here to stir the pot for you, to invite you to ask the questions of yourself, to create a different perspective.
Get you
and then-
thinking.
That's it.
Looking at you, looking at really what's really going on.
Yes. That's what I'm here to help.
I like that. Do you, when you're giving advice, I mean, so you have this like big age range. Do you give advice on, I'm now looking at questions that some of my listeners have sent in, but like, do you think that age matters? Like when, in terms of like if someone comes in and they're like young and they want to date older people or vice versa, is there any
So here's the thing.
advising on that?
Okay, so I did a post on this the other day. It's ironically.
You guys
So
find him
there's
on
a lot
Facebook.
of
We'll
women
plug it at the
that
end.
feel rejected by men because men oftentimes want younger women. Okay, that's a perception.
That's an ongoing thing, yes.
Okay. Does it really what matters what a billion men do? What matters most is the one guy you're going to be going out with.
Yeah.
And the one guy you're going out with is going to appreciate your age no matter who you are or whatever age you are.
Yeah.
So rather than focusing on who gives a fuck what a billion other people do.
Men don't like women my
How about
age.
focusing on the right guy appreciates my age just for where I'm at?
Yeah.
How about that's all you say? That's an affirmation
The
right there.
right person appreciates
My
me.
age.
My age. And
That's it. That's all you have to say.
I think that's so great because we get so caught up in it's easy for people to get caught up in and I think a little bit of these things is like an ego thing of,
Yes.
well, going, oh, no one wants to date me because of my age. No one wants to date me because of my size. No one wants to date me because I'm funny. And it's like, no, that's not true. But it's like, if there are people who don't want to date you for those reasons, yeah, I've always been of the mindset of like, yeah, you don't want to date someone who doesn't want to date you.
So
That's not the one.
it's funny because I got this was, I guess a year ago, I had a woman who's a Facebook friend of mine and I was on Bumble and she swiped and I swiped and I'm like, cool. Cause I kind of had a little bit of a crush on her.
Oh my God,
I mean, I
fun.
just liked the way she looked and I liked a couple things in her profile. So when she wrote me, she started off by going, Jonathan, I just want to be upfront. I think you're incredibly handsome and I'm completely intimidated by you and I can't date a dating coach. And so then of course my ego popped in and wanted to give her all the reasons why she's mistaken. But what I recognize is, okay, that's her fear coming up.
Yeah.
I'm not here to convince her
To want to
that
date
fear
me.
is an illusion in her own mind.
Yeah.
right? I want that woman who goes, you're a dating coach? Fucking A, that's awesome. I want to be
Yes.
with you. So I could have seen that as a negative, and it's true. A lot of people wouldn't want to date a therapist or a dating coach.
A female
or whatever.
comedian.
Or a female comedian, whatever. Yeah, great one. But how about the right person loves exactly what I do for a living? And that's all I have
Absolutely.
to say.
And they're going to be like, fuck yeah. Like that's,
Yeah.
because that's my world is female, is comedy. And then I have female friends who talk about, like so many men are just too intimidated. And it's like, yeah, those guys are not, you don't want to date that guy. You don't want a guy who's like, oh, I just don't, you're so much funnier than me. And it's like, yeah. So what?
So what?
But like the right guy, like my boyfriend is like, thinks it's so amazing that like, oh my God, she's so funny. And he like can't he can't wait for more of his friends to meet me. And they're like, you're gonna love how funny. Well, it's just such a thing that, yeah, is worrying about that people won't like what you're bringing to the table. And it's just so silly to me that like, yeah, no,
How about
some
being
people
grateful
won't.
for all that you bring to the table, and the right person's going to appreciate all of that.
I love that.
How about that be a mantra? Those are affirmations. Those are ways, because I see a big percentage of the population operates like they're Eeyore.
I mean, truly.
And
I've
rather
gotten
be a
into that
Tigger.
habit.
I'd rather be Tigger.
Oh yes, joy and love and just
Yeah.
bouncing around.
Yeah.
Me too. I have. It's easy to get sucked into that cycle of I think either. Do you think when the more you're practicing self-love, this is a no-brainer, but
Sure.
does it become easier or more innate to have reactions that come from that place?
So I would say that what's interesting, because a friend of mine and I were just talking about this morning. She goes, well, God, operating from a place of self-love can be boring because you're not being triggered. In other words, so you're not being triggered by negativity. And so could the corresponding, you're not being, not enlightened, but you're not
Emotionally-
blissing out on joy, right?
Yeah,
Could it be
that
the
emotional
opposite?
and emotional arousal where you just like
So I am
peaks.
working on operating from a place of neutrality. In other words, not reacting to when negative things happen. Now, I say I'm practicing it. I'm not achieving it fully. But I'm
Absolutely.
just operating the best I can to be in neutrality. What's happening, though, is I may not act like happy things or like I'm acting exuberant per se, and I'm like doing backflips like Tigger per
Yeah.
se, but I'm feeling calm and inner
like
peace.
allowing yourself to just
Yeah. And so I'm just noticing that I'm feeling more and more at peace in my life. And I can't begin to describe how amazing that feels.
That's really great. Because I think if you're someone who operates from those emotional highs and lows where like you want those big reactions, when you start to work on this type of thing, self-love, neutrality can almost feel boring at first, where you're just like, why am I not over
Yeah,
the
it can,
moon? And you
yeah.
go, it's sometimes you're almost just chasing an emotion, it feels like. So learning to just exist in the calm.
Well, some people are addicted to drama because they need the excitement to feel alive. And
It's like the
yet
adrenaline
it's
rush.
but it's going to be a false lived,
Yeah.
experience after a while. So,
Absolutely. Couple more questions from listeners, if you are cool with it.
I'm cool with it.
Let's see. Do you think that like relationships are built on an unspoken assumption that there's going to be a fair and balanced dynamic that'll nourish both parties? Basically, someone was like, is it wrong to approach a relationship from sort of expecting someone to reciprocate whatever you're bringing to the table?
Is it wrong? Wait.
Like,
Well, first off, how about we start from the assumption of no assumptions? How about no expectations?
I like that.
How about starting from a place of no expectations and just operate from a place of giving? If you are giving in a relationship and the person is also giving, fantastic. You're with two
Yes.
givers. If you're giving in a relationship and the other person is taking and not giving back, then don't make the investment of giving anymore.
giving.
And if need be, end the relationship.
Yeah.
But stop expecting someone else to change and be careful because there's a lot of people who give to get, or a lot of people who give who are martyrs.
Yeah.
I've given.
Look at all I've
look
done.
at all I've done. Well, that's just martyrdom.
Yeah.
That's not real love.
Yeah, that, and then just like the transactional of like that love. I have always approached it like, or have tried, as I've been like working on myself and learning and stuff, just this idea of that love is a gift, not a loan, sort of, so to speak. That
I like that.
because there are people who think because they have given love to you,
Yeah.
and we a lot of us do it, that you go on now that you have this title of boyfriend, girlfriend, best friend,
Yeah.
they suddenly have these expectations of like, this is what a boyfriend would do. This is what my best friend would do. And then that person doesn't live up to that simply because they've continued to be themselves.
Yeah.
And now you're hurt. But like, I like that note of stop expecting them to be someone else. You can continue from a place of this is how it's going to be. Or, if it's something that's hurting you, you don't like that you're not getting reciprocated. Yeah. It's okay to be hurt and end it
Yeah.
and just go, this isn't for me. Because if I feel like, holding on to that or continuing to expect that's going to build like passive aggressive resentments. That's great.
Well, it's interesting.
No expectations. I
There's
like
an
that.
element of in relationships where I've noticed, and I'm counseling a few friends of mine, and something's awry with their partner.
Yeah.
And it's in the moment. But somehow in their consciousness, that moment is like an eternity.
Forever. I guess we hate each other.
Yeah, exactly. In other
Ooh,
words,
I've
it's time
done
to
that.
break up or all these things. And I'm like, look, dude, it's just a moment. You're going to come back to equilibrium again.
Yeah.
And life is always going to be like that. Life is always going to be a shift in moments, a shift in the, it could be negative, it could be positive.
It's like a pendulum.
But don't get so hung up that it's forever. It's just a moment.
That is a thing I do just in general with emotions. A big thing meditating and working on myself has helped, but I have moments of when it's a heightened emotion.
Yeah.
Forgetting that it's like, this is going to pass.
Yeah.
Everything passes.
Yes.
And in the moment when it's a intense emotion, it's easy to feel like, oh, this is just forever. And it's like literally probably in 10 minutes, you'll fucking have calmed down.
Yeah.
But
and you can breathe and get there faster. Remember we talked about breath earlier.
Yes.
But here's the thing. There could be said that that's our reptilian brain that's afraid of the tiger and we're in fear and all that kind of stuff that happens biologically. But I also believe that we can train ourselves.
You do. Okay. Because that's what like, can you learn to react differently to the stimuli that triggers you? Okay.
It takes lots of practice.
Do you have any like exercises you do or
post on Facebook something controversial.
Yeah, start a war.
A great way. Start a war.
I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm going to upset other people about something I don't even care about.
So it's interesting. I was watching a video the other day. It was on soulmates, soul contracts, and twin flames.
Twin flames.
And so twin flames are actually those volatile relationships. A lot of people think they're the bliss relationships.
Oh, really?
No, twin flames are you drawn in your mirror that's going to cause so much friction in your life. That's why you brought that in. So I was thinking about the idea that we attract relationships so we give it a chance to love ourselves more. In other words, when we attract a relationship that isn't for our highest and best use, if you will, or service, it's because we need to practice loving on ourselves. So,
wow.
Okay, so I'm watching this video. That same day, I pulled out my back.
Oh no.
I was exercising. I did this clean and jerk move, and then bam, my back went out. So and it took me a half hour to walk home because I'd walked to the gym, which was 10 minutes away. It took me about 40 minutes to walk home. I crawled into bed and I said, wow, what an interesting way to choose to love myself. So I kept thinking, this is an interesting way to choose to love myself. Well, that's a lot easier than spending 6 months in a tumultuous twin flame relationship. I decided that today I'm going to choose this. And my back has been out for 5 days. I'm just recovering. I feel better today.
You look like you're moving all right.
No, but I decided to choose this. Remember, I created this. I decided to do the exercise. I created this.
I decided to clean and jerk.
Myself.
Yeah.
That's what I decided to view this as. I could have used this as a negative. I could have blamed the gym for the exercise. I could have blamed a lot of things. Or I could have said, wow, I did this so I could love on myself. And I spent the last 5 days loving on myself.
Yeah, you're like, all right, I need to chill out for a second.
I don't need a twin flame to do that.
Yeah, not needing a person to fill that.
Yeah. But I'm saying this is the way I chose to view it.
Yeah. Well, reframing the way you are viewing the world is, your reality. So the more you can approach things from that place of it's love and it's good. Because I think it's easy to do the opposite of, everything's woe is me, everyone's against me.
Hey, everyone would say, look, what you've gone through, Jonathan, losing a child, your mom, all this.
They'd be like, I totally get it.
You're allowed.
They would give you permission.
And I'm like, no, it's the opposite. It's inspiring me to actually invest in myself even more. In fact, I did a journey recently where I got a visitation from my son. I'm just going to say it was a plant-based journey, medicine journey. I'm not going to say what. But I did a journey.
I've probably done a few of those journeys.
Okay, so I'm just giving the audience a clue that I was doing a spiritual journey. I had a visitation from my son, and he said, in this particular message, he said, all heartbreak is an opportunity to amp up your self-love.
I love
all
that.
heartbreak is an opportunity to amp up your self-love. Dosage of self-love is what he said, dosage. And the point was, you lose a job, that could be heartbreaking, amp the self-love. You lose a parent, that's heartbreaking, amp up the self-love. You lose a child, devastating, amp up the self-love. And so any loss, if you will, or anything that might give you heartbreak is an opportunity to love on yourself even more.
Yeah, and that's it almost is like like the universe, whatever, what do you guys, God, whatever you call it, whoever's listening, but like, it's almost serves as like, that is what you're like being given permission to like, hey, don't remember to love yourself.
Yes. I now look at every opportunity, good or bad, as an opportunity. And I don't even think there is such a thing as good or bad, but I'm saying
just
if I
is.
looked, it is as an opportunity to love on myself.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that you love on yourself. That's great. I think we should all
I do too. Thank
do
you.
more of that. I mean, I guess that's it. I don't know if you have any little tiny things you want to impart, but I feel like you've given us so much
Oh my gosh.
wisdom. Where can people find your book?
So, well, I'm sure there'll be a link somewhere here.
Oh,
that
I'll put it.
sends you
The show notes, by the way, you guys is gonna have everything links to
Yeah,
his stuff. He'll have a link to the book.
so
I'm gonna
I'll
read the
have a
book and do a bonus review of it as for my Patreon listeners. So,
cool.
and then I'll post a little thing about it in the regular stuff
Okay.
too. But
well, there'll be, I'll offer a couple chapters of my book. It's at jonathanaslay.com/love. And you'll see it in the show notes, give you an opportunity to get my book. You could check out my website, which is Understand Men Now. It's also jonathanaslay.com.
Now?
Yeah, now. And then my book is on Amazon at What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? And it's on Amazon.
Oh, that's great. And then people can just find you on Facebook.
Yeah.
Jonathon Aslay. Get in those comments of the controversial Facebook posts. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank
this has
you,
been
Jessica.
really lovely.
Oh, it's been a blast. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you. All right, bye. Bye, guys. We'll talk to you soon. There you go. All about self-love with acclaimed author Jonathon Aslay. Check out his social media. Get that book. It's all in the show notes. I will be reading along with you. What do you do for self-love? Come over to our Facebook group. Ignorance is #BlessedIdiots. Start a conversation about it. Things that you've tried, things that didn't work for you. Let's get on this self-love train together, gang. Let's all do mushrooms, is what I'm saying, probably. If you like the podcast and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, rate, give it a review, share it with your friends because everyone's a little bit ignorant sometimes. Big thank you to John, Dustin, Jean, Kathy, and Terry, exclusive members of the League of Extraordinary Idiots on Patreon. You guys keep these episodes flowing, and I couldn't do it without you. I am glad we're friends. I'm glad we're interacting on a constant basis. If you want to join the League of Extraordinary Idiots and be part of all the fun, get some exclusive tickets to shows, VIP experiences, etc., etc. Patreon.com/ignoranceisblessed. @Blessed Podcast on Twitter. I don't know if I've even tweeted in how long. Ignorance is Blessed. On the gram, if you want to see pictures of the people whose voices you're hearing in your ears. And you can follow me all over the internet at JMS Comedy. I'm on this new app, by the way, called Edgymoo. And it's supposed to be, it's like Instagram, but no comments. You can just like photos. And there's something else that was really appealing about it. Oh, no ads and no foreign bots. So it's all real people just enjoying each other's adventures via photo. I don't know. Check that out, I guess. I'm just still trying to figure out how it works. EGIMOO. They did tell me as an influencer who they invited to the app if I get a certain number of followers first, which I won't. Someone's already gotten it. They were like, you can have money. But just so you know, it's not an actual ad. It's just a cool thing I'm trying out. I'm trying to get more excited about it. So if you do end up trying it, let me know so I can follow you, because right now I'm just randomly following a bunch of strangers who, some of them have good photos, but if I'm being completely honest, I don't give a fuck about them because I don't know them. I was just trying to be engaging, which is a fucking nightmare. What am I doing? That's a whole nother episode. Anyway, I'm glad you guys are here. If you have any additional questions for that guest or a guest you want to have on, a different topic you want covered, you want more of a topic covered, let me know in the Facebook group or shoot an email over to ignoranceisblessedpodcast@gmail.com. That's all one word, no underscores, no hashtags. I will always do my best to deliver what I can. So just keep asking. The more we ask, the more we learn, the more we know. And the more we know, the more we can look down on others who aren't as smart as we are. And isn't that the point? Thank you for listening, and thank you for being patient with my ignorance. See you soon, idiots.